Amsterdam. Its reputation precedes it.
And they're apparently fishing a car out of the canal.
When you mention the name, people who have never even set foot on the continent of Europe seem to grin. This city is notorious. But the Amsterdam that I know is completely different. Let me show you. I'm Maya, and this is Aladino. Our journey began a few years ago when this boat fell off a crane. After 4 years of rebuilding her, we named her Magic Carpet and we set sail to go around the world as slowly as possible. This season, we're sailing in the Netherlands. Join us as we explore the history and strange natural beauty of this seafaring nation. From the canals of Amsterdam to the pastoral islands of the Waddenzee, welcome to Magic Carpet in the Netherlands. New episode every Friday. I first visited Amsterdam with my mom at age 14. We stayed at my aunt's cozy and immaculate apartment in downtown Amsterdam, overlooking a quiet canal. Needless to say, on that trip, I didn't really get a tour of all the things Amsterdam is infamous for. But even on all my subsequent visits, with friends and with Aladino, Amsterdam has never left the impression of debauchery that the world expects of it. Sure, weed is legal and the red light district does exist, and if you seek those things out, then you'll find them. But locals mostly just see those things as tourist attractions. So let's go explore the Amsterdam that I've always known. Good morning from Amsterdam! Wow, it is so sunny and so warm here at the moment. Aladino is just waking up, so he's not as excited about the day yet. We're going to be here for a few days. I'm going to see my family, I'm going to see a few friends of mine, and I want to show you guys around Amsterdam. I want to try and do justice to the city as much as I can in a short YouTube video. And try and give you a bit of a feeling for it, because I love Amsterdam. I think it gives you such a cozy, nice feeling when you're here. But today, I just want to go to my favorite places. Now, I think you're going to see a little bit of what a nerd I am when I show you what my favorite places in Amsterdam are. I have two. We might only go to one today, because the other one's a bit more out of the way. And then I do also have a favorite lunch place that maybe we'll visit. We'll see. The Sixhaven Harbor, where we docked Magic Carpet, could not be better situated. We had perfect access from boat to city. So to get to central Amsterdam, we have to take the ferry over the little canal, and it's a free ferry, so we're gonna go walk on. Amsterdam is both charmingly old-fashioned and incredibly modern. The buildings are old brick and they lean precariously, tired from years of standing up straight. But at the same time, we needed an app to do our laundry, and the streets are filled with almost painfully hip boutiques and cafes. Everyone dresses in a casual yet elegant style, which for my backwoods Canadian upbringing is pretty hard to match. Well, but that's Europe in general, I guess. Okay, so my favorite place, we're pretty close now. We have to go down a few small little streets and then we'll arrive. So this store is been open since the 1800s and it's filled with letter writing supplies essentially. And I love writing letters. I've got a whole stack of them right here that I have to send. And I love using traditional wax seals, and this is where I always get my supplies. So I visit Amsterdam regularly enough because I have family here that I stock up every year or two
on everything I need, so I'm very excited.
I guess everyone has a quirky hobby or two, and old-fashioned letter writing is mine. I started writing letters several years ago when I was in Barcelona with a friend, and the habit stuck. This store is my kind of paradise, and I think it epitomizes a lot of what you can find in Amsterdam. Something for every taste.
Okay, you can't see how big I'm smiling right now because I have a mask on, but I found this beautiful stamp. So I'm gonna get that. Then I got this gorgeous paper. This is just the cover. This is not actually what the paper looks like, but it's just this beautiful textured paper with rough edges and then envelopes to match. And next I'm gonna get some wax for wax seals.
With my pocket significantly lighter, but my stationery kit full to bursting, it was time to go for lunch. I wanted to head to my favorite lunch spot with one of the best views of the city.
So a friend and I discovered this place last time I was in Amsterdam, and it's really cool because Amsterdam is a very low city. There aren't skyscrapers here. And this actually takes you up above the city and you get to eat with a view of the city, and it's very reasonably priced. It's just a cafe. You get normal cafe food, but with an amazing view. And it's pretty cool they built this. I don't know how they got the zoning codes to do it, because I bet that would have been a struggle.
Yeah, this is a new surprise for me. I have not seen this before.
See? Am I a good Amsterdam tour guide?
Yeah.
Yay.
Even though next lunch I will take you out to have a herring. That's more traditional. But I guess this is a hip place.
This is Blue Amsterdam. The food isn't anything too special, but it's not too expensive, and I find the view to be worth it. Not only are elevated views of Amsterdam hard to find, but flying drones through the city is also illegal. However, I did manage to find some aerial shots on a stock footage website, so I'll weave a few of those in later. But now, time for a quick after-lunch stroll, followed by a pretty classic Amsterdam activity. You'll see what I mean in a moment.
We've just been strolling around after lunch and we've made it down to the Maritime Museum area. I'm not sure, are we going to the museum? Is that what you want to do?
No.
No. Anyway, we're just strolling around. There's lots of boats here to look at. And yeah, Amsterdam is conspicuously emptier than usual. My aunt told me that before we arrived, because there's way less tourists than usual, of course, because of COVID. All the tourists that are usually here from basically all over North America aren't here. Canadians are allowed to come, but I think for the most part tourism is pretty dampened. We've definitely heard a lot of British and German accents, but those are a bit closer to home, so. Anyway, it's kind of cool to be in Amsterdam when it's a bit quieter, because it's usually very busy, very, very busy. And it still is busy, but I mean, compared to what it can be, pretty chill.
We've already pointed out that the Dutch are all about boating, and that's true in Amsterdam as well. The downtown area is built around a series of canals arranged in a kind of semicircular shape, and going canal boating is an extremely popular summertime activity. Lucky for us, I have some friends with a canal boat who invited us on a city tour by the water.
And we are invited by Toos and Ollie. And how cool is this? A really Dutch boat. Can you say barge, or are those only the bigger ones?
That's a bigger one.
A really Dutch boat. How cool is this?
Een sloepje.
A sloepje. Very excited.
You're getting so good at vlogging and modding.
Oh, am I? Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Woo.
Oh yeah. Cheers. Thanks. Cheers.
Those are very
Amsterdam was the first European city I ever visited, and as a 14-year-old small-town Canadian, it completely entranced me. The thing that struck me most was that I had always assumed that the cute photos I'd seen of Amsterdam, with the canals and the brick houses, was just one small neighborhood, and that the rest of the city would be like most other cities I'd seen, lots of concrete and cars. I mean, Vancouver has Gastown, which is a beautiful old brick area, but it's a pretty small part of the overall city, and I kind of assumed Amsterdam was the same. So when I got here, and I realized that the small streets and the canals seemed to stretch on forever, I was amazed. Around every turn are more charming Dutch houses and more bridges covered in flowers. We boated over to a famous local brewery with an old-style windmill, where we shared a cold beer. It was a hot day. So hot that next on the list was a swim at one of Amsterdam's favorite swimming beaches, right next to the Maritime Museum.
So awesome, this perspective from the water. I mean, check out how we get to see this galleon.
Do it! Oh yes! Oh yes! Like you're standing on the dry.
Yeah, exactly!
Hey, we're back from a pretty busy and very hot day. Now we are having a friend over for drinks and snacks. I asked Aladino to pick some snacks up on the way home, and he really went above and beyond. We've got avocados and shrimp and celery with gorgonzola cheese and walnuts, and it is a gourmet feast over here on Magic Carpet.
There's a Dutch word called gezellig. It doesn't have a direct English translation, but it basically means the coziness of being together, perhaps in a nice space with candles and bookshelves, or perhaps sharing a home-cooked meal, or perhaps having hapjes with a friend on a cozy boat. Hapjes, that's another Dutch word which refers to little appetizers to be shared. But what's less gezellig is filming a nice evening with a friend, so the camera stayed off for that. In fact, I saw lots of my friends and family while I was in Amsterdam, but some moments are too precious to be cheapened by an ever-present camera.
It's evening, which means we can finally go out. Amsterdam has been in a heat wave while we've been here, one of the hottest heat waves of the year. And it's been so hot here that we actually haven't wanted to go explore the city in the day because it's just uncomfortable. I know by the time you're watching this, it'll probably be winter or fall, so it might seem a bit strange to be complaining about heat, but that's how it is at the moment. Anyway, we don't have any plans. What I really want to do is walk around the streets and film a little bit of Amsterdam at night.
I wanted to film a little bit of Amsterdam at night, but given the fact that COVID was still very much a reality, we decided we'd just wander the streets without actually going inside anywhere. I heard someone say that in Germany, everything is forbidden unless stated otherwise. But in Amsterdam, everything is allowed unless stated otherwise. This Dutch tendency towards tolerance is what has earned Amsterdam its infamous international reputation. Now, don't get me wrong, of course young Dutch people like to go out and have fun. But the things that Amsterdam has gained its international reputation for, I don't know if those really describe the Dutch as a culture. It's usually the tourists who travel to Amsterdam to let all their inhibitions go for a few days who are the ones that end up causing a scene. As we walked around, we saw the Dutch authorities pulling a car out of a canal, which had apparently been driven in there by 4 young Brits who were high on laughing gas. All 4 of the occupants were saved, as about 9 people had jumped into the canal to pull them out of the car and to safety.
Okay, so they got the car out of the canal, so time to continue on. What a spectacle. The funny thing is that its rear lights were still on as they dragged it out of the water. It's pretty crazy that the batteries didn't die. I mean, how do you explain that? It was submerged for a while.
Just like the last twitches of a fish even after it's dead. Yeah.
What an analogy.
Dankjewel. For you.
Yay!
Maya's dream is coming true.
Fries. It's not my dream, but I do like really good fries, and Amsterdam is known for them. So here we go. So we're just continuing our meandering. I'm not actually sure where we are right now. It's super funny because I've been to Amsterdam many times, but I've actually never gone out in the evening. Not that we're really going out now, but we're just kind of strolling around all the going out places. And yeah, it's interesting because it makes me realize how different my life would have been if my parents had decided to raise a family in Amsterdam. Young people here just have a totally different existence. Like growing up in BC and going to university literally in the mountains with no club around for, it was a 1.5 hour drive almost to get to Vancouver to go partying, so we never did it. So I just grew up with a completely different set of things to do. Okay, it's midnight. Time to go home. I'm tired.
The impression I'm always left with after leaving Amsterdam is that it's gezellig. Amsterdam has a warmth that I've never felt from any other large city. And yes, the partying, the weed, and the red light district are all realities of Amsterdam, but they definitely don't define the city in the way that its international reputation would have you think. And let's be honest, the only real difference between Amsterdam and most other cities is that here, it's legal. To me, Amsterdam has always felt warmly familiar, and I've often said that if I had to live long-term in a single European city, I would choose Amsterdam without hesitation. And that wraps up our tour of Amsterdam. I wish I could have shown you even more because there is so much to this city you could explore it for almost a lifetime. But to be honest, the extreme heat combined with the ever-present risk of COVID definitely curtailed our plans a little bit. But regardless, I want to thank you so much for watching. As always, please remember to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and leave a comment with what you think. We always love reading those. And a big thank you to our patrons for making these episodes possible. If you'd like to become a patron for as little as $2 a month, I'll leave the link in the video description, and you get behind the scenes weekly updates and an extra big thank you to these folks who really go the extra mile to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being published. We'll see you all next Friday.